Alright, now let's begin with our first question. So please always mark the keyword. It will help you to arrive at the correct answer quickly, saving time. Option A says operational indicators such as latency, error count, and request throughput. Operational indicators are captured out of the box for real-time monitoring. If you want the PDF version of this course, please enroll in Diamond membership or above by clicking the join button now. Then connect and inbox me on LinkedIn @ Cloud Guru Amit or Instagram @ Amit Physique. I'll be glad to help you out with the PDF or hands-on files for this course. Looks good, we can keep it. Option B says quality indicators such as accuracy and adherence to response guidelines. Quality indicators require additional configuration and are not captured by default as required by the question. Therefore, wrong answer. We'll move to now option C. C says both operational indicators and quality indicators. Only operational indicators are captured automatically. Quality indicators require setup. Therefore, wrong answer. Let's move to option D. D says no indicators are captured without manual setup. Operational indicators are available without manual setup. So this statement, no indicators, is definitely inaccurate. Let's delete this. We'll lock option A as the right answer. Okay. This question will test your concepts on Databricks AI security framework, that is DAS. Option A says use AI guardrails to define and enforce response boundaries. AI guardrails shape outputs but doesn't prevent backend access to the model. Wrong answer. Let's move to option B. B says configure model access permissions using Databricks access control list. Access control list help restrict model access, reducing exposure risk from model inversion attacks. Let's keep it. Option C says secure model inputs via Databricks feature store capabilities. Feature store capabilities or feature store secures input features, not model access or output leakage. Wrong answer. Let's move to option D. D says restrict model exposure using attribute-based access control. Attribute-based access controls limits user access but doesn't isolate model level exposure. Wrong choice. We'll lock option B as the right answer. Let's bring the heat to the snow. Option A says OpenAI client. OpenAI client integrates with session context when configured in Databricks. Hence incorrect. Let's move to option B. B says REST API via request library. Request library requires manual credential handling and doesn't reuse session context. Looks good because that's what we need. Option C says ML deployments software development kit. ML flow deployment SDK auto connects using notebook session credentials. Hence incorrect. Let's move to option D. D says Databricks Python SDK. Databricks Python SDK is built to inherit session credentials in notebooks. Let's delete this. We'll lock option B as the right answer. Alright, now let's look at this question. So this is all about LLM autonomously deciding which tool to invoke based on user input. We need to select the sequence of steps. Option A, import the tools, attach tools and LLM to the agent, build the React agent. So this step skips agent definition before React setup, which breaks the tool selection flow. Therefore, wrong answer. Let's move to option B. Option B, if you look, this sequence aligns the agent definition with React LLM and tool setup, enabling autonomous tool selection. Let's keep it. Let's move to option C. Option C says define tools, assign each tool to a separate agent, prompt the LLM to use React for agent selection. So this option splits tools across agents, preventing unified decision making by the LLM. Wrong answer. Option D says embed tools inside agents, feed agents into the LLM, use COT reasoning for agent selection. Embedding tools inside agents limit the LLM's ability to evaluate tool relevance. We'll delete this. We'll lock option B as the right answer. Alright. Now let's look at this question. Option A says turn on ML flow tracing to gain visibility into each agent setup and its behavior. ML flow tracing provides span level visibility into agent execution, exposing inputs, outputs, and errors for each step. Let's keep it. Option B says use ML flow dot evaluate to analyze the failed step for insights. ML flow dot evaluate is designed for performance assessment, not for diagnosing execution failures. Wrong answer. Let's move to option C. Option C says add structured logging in the agent code to capture execution details. Structured logging helps capture details but lacks integrated span level visibility across agent steps. Wrong choice. Let's now move to option D. D says break the agent into separate steps to simplify debugging. Splitting steps isolates logic but doesn't reveal runtime context or error propagation. We'll delete this. Let's lock option E as the right answer. Alright, now let's look at this question. We need to maintain continuity and reflect the temporal nature of the legal data. Option E says use windowed summarization with overlapping chunks. Windowed summarization with overlaps preserves narrative flow and temporal progression across chunks. Let's keep it. Option B says apply a tree-based structure like a raptor to organize related legal concepts. Tree-based grouping organizes concepts but doesn't maintain document level continuity. Hence incorrect. Let's now move to option C. C says embed each paragraph individually to preserve semantic granularity. Paragraph level embeddings lose cross paragraph context required for tracking legal evolution. Wrong answer. Let's now move to option D. D says embed each sentence and tag it with time metadata for filtering. Sentence level embedding with time tags support filtering but fragment the narrative structure, which we don't want. Let's delete it. Let's lock option E as the right answer. Alright, now let's look at this question. Option A says adjusting chunk size to align with the model's context window for broader input coverage. Adjusting chunk size increases input length but doesn't improve relevance or retrieval for answering queries. Let's keep it. Option B says applying metadata filters based on service type and deployment year. Metadata filters help isolate relevant configurations using structured attributes like service type and year. Therefore, this is incorrect. Let's now move to option C. C says fine-tuning and embedding model using cloud infrastructure terminology. Fine-tuning embeddings improves semantic matching for domain-specific cloud infrastructure teams, right? Not for what we require. We'll delete this. Let's move to option D. D says applying few short examples to guide the model's response behavior. Few short examples guide the model's response behavior by showing how similar queries were answered. Let's delete this. We'll lock option E as the right choice. Alright, now let's look at this. Option E is raise the upper limit of SQL endpoints scaling range to allow more resources. Scaling range affects load handling but doesn't solve cold start latency. Hence incorrect. Now let's move to option B. B says activate auto stop on the SQL endpoint to manage idle time. Auto stop controls idle shutdown but doesn't reduce startup time when the endpoint is inactive. Wrong choice. Let's move to option C. C says increase the SQL endpoints cluster size to boost compute capacity. Larger clusters improve throughput but doesn't address delays from a non-running endpoint. We'll delete this. Now let's move to option D, which is the only option left. Option D says enable the serverless feature on the SQL endpoint to reduce startup latency. Serverless mode eliminates cold start delays by provisioning compute instantly. We'll lock option D as the right answer. Alright, now let's tackle this question. This is all about evaluating effectiveness using structured methods. Option E says use row score to measure the quality of final answers. A row focuses on surface level overlap and doesn't capture retrieval relevance or factual grounding. Hence incorrect. Let's move to option B. B says apply an LLM as a judge to assess the final generated response. LLM as a judge gives subjective scoring but lacks transparency across retrieval and generation stages. We'll delete this. Let's move to option C. C says build a dataset to test retrieval and generation separately and use ML flows evaluation matrix for both. Evaluating retrieval and generation separately with ML flow matrix ensures both components are assessed independently and thoroughly. Let's keep this. Option D says run the same queries across multiple LLMs and select the best performing one. Comparing LLMs doesn't reveal how well the retrieval pipeline supports the final output. We'll delete this. We'll lock option C as the right answer. Alright, now let's look at this question. This is all about limiting toxic outputs. Option E says limit the number of context items the system considers when forming a response. Reducing context size lowers volume but doesn't eliminate toxic inputs. Let's delete this. We'll move to now option B. B says restrict inputs to verified social media and news accounts to avoid toxic data reaching the LLMs. Filtering source accounts prevents toxic content from entering the system pipeline. Let's keep it. Option C says log all responses and run monthly toxicity check on the output. Monthly analysis detects issues after they occur, not before generation. Wrong answer. Let's move to option D. D says apply rate limiting to control the number of requests processed. Rate limiting slows traffic but doesn't block harmful content. We'll delete this. We'll lock option B as the right answer. If you want the PDF version of this course, please enroll in Diamond membership or above by clicking the join button now. Then connect and inbox me on LinkedIn at the rate of Cloud Guru Amit or Instagram at the rate of Amit Physique. I'll be glad to help you out with the PDF or hands-on files for this course. Thank you so much for watching. Let's meet in our next part.